Welcome back to another episode of A Gift from Adversity. My name is Juri Love. I'm your host. Thank you very much for listening. Today, we have another guest and recording episode 131. And I'm very excited to have our guest. But before I introduce my guest, I want to introduce my book, which is the same title as this podcast. It's called A Gift from Adversity. It's available on Amazon. And then A Gift from Adversity's subtitle is Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness. My name is Juri, Juri, love. So if you look on Amazon, A Gift from Adversity, Juri Love, it'll come up. And this is a story about my life. And after I published my book in 2020, I got a lot of messages from all over the world, and then people are saying, um, sharing their stories, and then reached out to me, and I felt really compelled to create a platform where people can share their stories and challenges, but also tools that they use to overcome and a gift that came from it. And I'm very, very grateful to have many guests on my show from all over the world sharing their stories. But not only that, some techniques that I myself was able to apply. So hopefully this show is going to be very interesting and helpful. So let's invite our new guest. Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Hi, Juri. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So tell us who you are, where you're coming in from, and then what you do, and if you have any social media or anything that you want to promote.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. I'm Kate Cheney. I am the founder of Inspirational Experiences. We are a 501c3 located here in San Antonio, Texas, that provides sensory friendly events year round for the special needs community. You can find us at inspirationalexperiences.org or on our Facebook at Inspirational Experiences.
So, should we go by Elizabeth?
Yes, Elizabeth is fine.
So, let's talk about your adversity. So, can you tell our audience what was your adversity?
Absolutely. My adversity is autism. I was diagnosed as legally blind at newborn, but did not find out until the age of 5. Went through patching, drops, surgeries, and corrections at a chance at a normal life. At 13, I was diagnosed with high functioning Asperger's, which is also classified as autism. And I suffer with multiple self directions, making friends, keeping my grades up in college, keeping jobs, things that make it really difficult every day in this world for us, but I've learned to overcome that. And then at 23, I was diagnosed with seizures called PNES, photogenic non-epileptic seizure disorder, and it is caused by hormonal changes, high fevers, and low blood sugar. And then finally, I was diagnosed with lupus at the age of 30. And with everything that I've been through, I wanted to find a way to feel welcome, to feel like I fit in and like I belonged. And that's where I overcame all of this and started my organization called Inspirational Experiences.
Let's dive into the first diagnosis, and thank you so much for willing to share your story today.
You're welcome.
So tell me about what you remember. Um, I know you said it a lot, but let's dissect one diagnosis at a time. How did you find out these things that your parents told you? How do you remember all this?
So, finding out that I was legally blind, my parents took me to multiple different ophthalmologists within Long Island, New York. I lived in Bayshore Brightwaters at the time, and I was taken into multiple different specialists, from ophthalmologists to neurologists to cardiologists to all of these different specialists, because they knew that I was born with a special needs of some form, but they did not know what I was going through at that time. So after being placed in all these different specialties, I kind of found my way through, out my life. And then I recently just found out half of my life when I recently just got engaged and married to my now husband, Rob Cheney. And through everything that I found out and I'm still finding out, we're finding a way to overcome them and, not let that stop me of being who I want to be, because I want to be a speaker. I want to give back to the special needs community, and I don't want any of that to stop me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So you mentioned, let's go back. So you mentioned that first diagnosis was autism.
First diagnosis was finding out that I was legally blind. Yes.
Legally blind. And then how old were you?
So I was born with being legally blind. Without my glasses right now, I would not be able to see your face. I'm 22 to 2400 each eye, which means I'm completely legally blind without correction. With correction, I see about maybe 2500, 24 in each eye, which is still legally blind. Although we try to make it correct as much as we can with lenses and other, contacts.
And then you mentioned about Asperger. So
Mhm.
what is it? And then how did you find out? And how is it different than autism?
Yes, man. So, being when I was younger, I had a lot of behavioral challenges, a lot of things I went through of not being able to keep friends and having a hard time at home following directions and getting along with my sister. And there was just a lot of different, adversities that I went through. And through all of that, my mom took me to many different psychologists and psychotherapists and things like that. And we kind of got a hint at what it possibly could be, but I didn't get diagnosed until when I was 13, which I was then living in Ohio. And when I lived in Ohio, we finally found a testing center and we finally got tested, and I came out with having Asperger's, which is a form of autism.
I don't really know too much of the autism world. The only experience that I had was I was actually a music teacher for children who had autism, but they have so many different um, spectrums, and there's so many different diagnosis associated with, and then there are so many different talents, and then different aspects that each kid had so many different um, expressions. Can you
Yes.
tell our audience about what do you know about autism and the spectrum, and then how do we able to identify or understand more?
Yes, ma'am. So there's three categories for autism. There's low intermediate, there is medium in the middle, which means you're kind of sort of verbal, and then there's high functioning where you're highly verbal, highly independent. The first one I'm going to break down is nonverbal. So low non-independent functioning, which means that the child is not verbal, does not know how to communicate. They may use things like iPads, verbal, communication cards. They may have a different software that they use that we don't know about, but we're training on these days. Some of them use a booklet that have different flashcards. Some of them use like little menus and things to tell us what they need. It's really become a lot of technology these days, and thanks to technology, those kids that don't have a voice are able to have those voices that they once would not. So I'm grateful for the technology today. And then the other side of it is the medium side where you're kind of maybe still tendency of nonverbal, but working towards verbal. But you still have a hard time with telling us what you need. You may have emotional cry outs. You may have meltdowns. You may have just, overstimulation. There's a lot of those things that, they're starting to learn to overcome with kind of sort of having a voice, but some of them still may not. So having to overcome all those things makes their life even harder because every day it's a new lesson, whether it's, tying a shoe, whether it's, learning to go to school, whether it's making a friend, whether it's communication, whether it's social cues, and saying that, oh, I didn't realize that you are frustrated or that you're mad. I'm sorry that, I felt that way. And then there's high functioning, which is the highly independent. We can do things on our own. We could do anything that we put our heart to and go for, and we still struggle though, and those struggles for us are different. My friend Becca has pervasive developmental delay, which means that it's also another form of autism, but with hers she was nonverbal until the age of 4 and only spoke 22 words, and now today she's speaking full on sentences. She just got her sped teacher certification yesterday, and I'm very proud of her because she's worked so hard for that. So with that being said, with her level and with my level where I'm at, I'm high functioning, but I have days where I go back down into the medium category where, I'm having a hard time because I'm overtired, I'm hungry, I'm overstimulated because my job, I work as a pre-K aide. So there's a lot of stimulation for me. There's a lot of things that I may struggle with getting my grades up in college. I'm still finishing my bachelor's in psychology, and then working on a master's of special education. So there's a lot of things that we still may struggle with, but however, we're still higher functioning, which we means that we can accomplish more on our own and do things without having to have people to help us through tasks.
It's very interesting to learn all these different levels and then the talents. And I've heard something about autism that there are special talents that each kid has, like a really extraordinary talent. I read once that there's a child who can communicate with cows and then became actually consultant for cow dairy farms because they she was able to communicate like what cows want or most comfortable of or something. Have you heard of those kind of traits or special
Yeah.
talents?
Yes, ma'am. So actually, I'm gonna turn this light on and go in here so I can hide from the dogs barking. Sorry, guys. But yes, I have a special talent, and I didn't know it when I was born. I had no idea until a couple of years ago that I'm an inspirational speaker, which means that I want to go out there and share my story and spread the word that there is hope and that there is resources and not to give up if you're A, just starting your journey, B, you've been there for a while and you're stuck and you don't know where to go. My inspiration comes in and tells you, you know what, I've been through all this too. And here I am today working as a pre K teacher, getting my degree, giving back to the special needs community through my nonprofit, doing everything that I've always wanted to do and dreaming of those stars and reaching them. So being able to be that speaker, I never knew that. And that's God's gift to me is being a speaker for the world of special needs community. And I'm very excited and happy to kind of spread that. And I just did my first speech at a Mardi Gras ball for special needs down in Houston, which is near Galveston and Corpus Christi here in Texas. And I spoke about my story for about 2 minutes, and the whole crowd went wild. I had parents coming up to me, thanking me for everything that I've done and telling me that I'm an inspiration to them and not to give up. And without me, they don't know where they would be. So it's been amazing this month.
Well, thank you so much for telling me this. Now, Elizabeth, I know you really disclose a lot of information, but I want to go back to your childhood as kid who you said because of your autism missed the social cues and had
Yeah.
hard time making friends. Were you bullied? Were you isolated? Like, do you recall any of the challenges,
Yes.
especially elementary school, middle school, high school?
Yes, ma'am. This is where it gets really emotional and really hard for me to talk about this, but I'm overcoming it still. Back in high school, I was going to half a day high school and half a day vocational rehab, which meant I was kind of going to like a BOCES technical program where you can get a certificate for completion of a specialized class. And I was going for early childhood pre K 3, where I taught in the preschool 3 days a week and 2 days was learning. And on my way back one day, there's this bully on my bus called Stephen Manfredo, and sorry, gets me going. He was just a nasty bully, and I don't know what his issue was, what he wanted from me, whether it was he just was jealous of me, he was mad at me because I was different and better than him because he had behavioral issues. I don't know what it was, but one day on our way back from BOCES, I had boarded the bus, and when I boarded the bus, I was sitting there with my headset on and my little disc player in my hand, and I was listening to music on the way back because I always sat behind the bus driver every day because that was my assigned seat due to my autism, so that way he could keep an eye on me. And halfway through the drive, I didn't know it, I didn't feel it, but this bully had come up from behind me, wrapped the seatbelt around my neck, started to choke me, and then beat me to like blood from my face. I had a broken nose, I had a broken jaw, I had blood covered my face, and he had beat me for no apparent reason. And by the time that we had found out, we had to pull over the bus and obviously take precautions. So the bus driver called for police, called my dad, called my pediatrician sister, who thank God is my English teacher at my high school, to meet the bus as soon as we had gotten back. And once we pulled in, she had taken me off and rushed me to my pediatrician, which was her brother at the time. And he's the best pediatrician I've ever had. And because of him, I'm still alive today, but God rest his soul, he's not with us any longer. He had cancer and passed away a couple of years ago. But I miss him every day, and I thank him for like giving me a chance to live, because without him, I probably wouldn't be here today from all the injuries that I had. Yeah, so it's very hard.
Was he charged?
Yeah, so he was arrested at the school. He was charged as an adult because he was like 15, 16, but had been charged before for multiple bullying cases. And to this day, he had tried to reach out to me and tell me that he's a different person and he's sorry and he wants a second chance. And I absolutely blocked him and said, "You're disgusting to me. And there is no, like, I'm sorry, there is no, second chance because what you did to me is still traumatic and it'll always be in my head." Absolutely hard. Yeah,
It is so scary.
it is. It's one of those, I'm sorry. It's one of those things that I cry over because it still hurts today. Sorry. I'm like, I'm a crier. But yeah, I'm very traumatized for him, and I'm very to this day I can't even go on a school bus without having fear of like getting beat by whatever it may be because I work at a school district. So going on those field trips, you have to think about those precautions I take. So now I don't have headphones. I don't take my CD player. I don't keep my phone on me. I put it in my bag so I'm at like full attention at every moment. Because you never know what one person's gonna do. So yeah, it's been a hard road.
And you are like, how old were you?
I was 18. I was just about to graduate high school and start my college experience at Suffolk County Community College in Long Island. And because of that, I took a 2 year or 3 year break because I wasn't sure how I could overcome that trauma and still go to school and drive every day and like not have the fear of somebody coming and beating me or hurting me. So I fell behind, and now because of that, I still have not graduated. And I'm now finally finishing my bachelor's. I'll be graduating next December with my bachelor's in psychology.
I am very sorry.
Thank you. It's been a hard one.
What did your parents say when they found out you're beaten up and covered in blood?
My dad was the first one to get the call, and my dad was at work. He worked for a company called ADP Broadbridge. He was an IT specialist. My dad was pissed beyond all wits. He literally called my grandmother because my grandmother and him were the two closest. My dad beat my grandmother to the school, and his car was ringing like you could hear the seatbelt thing going off because of how fast he was coming in. And he was so pissed that he started to want to put his hands around this kid and choke the hell out of him and kill him. But my dad didn't do that, thank God, because he held back and he's like, if it wasn't for my daughter being hurt, my intention would have been to, hurt you back for doing this to her. She didn't deserve this. But, thank God my dad just took me and said, we've got to go. We've got to get out of here. Like, I've got to rush her to the doctor. Like, we got to go now. So my pediatrician sister came with us and followed us behind and helped carry me in. I had a concussion because the way that he had smacked my head against the seat with the seatbelt, it was really traumatic for me, and it's still something I'm overcoming.
And then what did the driver do?
The driver had filed a police report. He had called the police, obviously, number one, to always, report what we see. After he reported that, he continued to sit at the side of the road. They had told him, is it still safe? Can you still drive the bus back? Can you get to the school safely? Because you're only about 5 minutes down the road. Yes, we can get to the school. Like, we're going to separate them and we're going to try to keep him in the back and her in the front. But I need emergency crews. I need help now. They met us at the school, evaluated me, sent me on my way to the pediatrician. The pediatrician sent me to the hospital, and I was in the ER for about 48 hours. So it
Oh,
was very, very traumatic. It was, if I could say right now how badly I can never, and I never will forgive him, I would say that to you right now is never trust a bully because although they ask for forgiveness, they don't mean it. They're just going to do it again.
is there any other incidents growing up? Do you remember, like in elementary school, like middle school, that it was hard to make friends and people made fun of you and stuff?
Absolutely. Back in elementary, middle school, I had neighbors that I'd play with all the time that lived on my block. And a couple of times that we were playing, I thought we were just friends and we are having a good time. They took my glasses off my face, snapped them and broke them, and left me to try to find my way home without my glasses. And my mom was very upset, and she had to pay like, $800 because I had the high end, scratch resistant, very thick lenses. Like, these are not cheap to replace every time something happens. So my mom was always very angry when they would, break my glasses. At school, they would shove me in a locker. it was just multiple things that never stopped from elementary all the way up to high school graduation. And today I'm still facing it in college. I have people that make fun of me because I'm still autistic and, I have a hard time taking tests and I don't like being in loud noises. And there's just some things that people think is funny and they think it's okay to make fun of. And it's not. And I try to teach it every day that, it's not okay to be a bully. Just because you don't understand their story, ask before do you think?
What are your parents coping? How are your parents coping with all this bullying and hardship that you went through? Do you remember your parents reporting school, reporting to the bully's parents, and like how were they dealing with this?
Absolutely. So, every year that I was in school from elementary all the way up to 11th grade, I was on something called an IEP, which is an individualized education plan, for special needs. And every year that, something had arose, my mom would first contact the special ed teacher, and then request an IEP meeting and go over accommodations. One year it was so bad that I couldn't even walk in the hallway by myself. I had to have a teacher walk with me from class to class to class because of the bullying, and to me, that was embarrassing, but it was my mom's way of protecting me. And I had to realize it's better to be protected than to be hurt. So I'm thankful for my parents today. I'm thankful for my mom, my dad, my sister. My brother is no longer with us. He committed suicide a few years ago by walking in front of a moving train because he had been going through some really hard things. But knowing that my brother is watching below me, I know that he'd be proud of what I'm doing today.
I am so sorry.
Thank
Um,
you.
Everything that you said is heartbreaking. And as a mom, as a single mom who's been through a lot, and then having my kids being biracial in majority white town, it's been really difficult. And
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
I'm sorry about your brother also. Were you guys close?
We were very close. We grew up together. We always did things together. We were always playing together, talking together, laughing together. Like, he was due to be a pediatrician. He was one day away from taking his boards. And I found out after the fact, but my friend had given him a study drug called Vivian. And it's like a drug to keep you up for multiple days at a time. It would give you like that boost, and he snapped because that medication made him crazy, and he had had no sleep in like 3, 4, 5 days, and he didn't know what else to do, and he just, he went crazy, left us a note, parked his car near the bagel store by the train tracks in New York, and after that they found him dead on the train tracks, like a train. He was literally, I don't know what he was thinking, but he was literally standing right in front of the moving train. It tried to stop, and right forward did it hit him right in. Yeah. And it was the hardest part is my biggest brother, Charlie, as I call him Charles now, but he's a dad. He's got 2 beautiful daughters. He's married happily, a firefighter. He's a great guy. And to see that our other brother is no longer with us, that, was everything to us. It's been very difficult.
How long ago was this?
It was back in 2021, so about 2 to 3 years ago, where I think it's been 6, sorry. It's been 6 years. So back in, I think it was 21. So back in 6 years ago when he did it, I can't remember the date completely. I know it was, January or September. But he definitely, was my heart and my soul. And when he did this, like I said, we didn't know he was doing it. He told me he was gonna go to the bagel shop and, get bagels, and had asked me if, I wanted anything. Didn't come back, and we got the call, and my brother Charlie, my older brother, is the first one who got the call and saw his brother dead on the train tracks, and it's been the hardest for him ever since.
It's been a lot for you.
It's been a lot. It's been way a lot. And today I'm still dealing with a lot of things. I have a lot of people that are just not nice, and they don't understand special needs, and they judge us. And I've lost a lot of jobs due to this because, they just decide after a few months that they don't want to work with me, or it's just not working out and they fire me because Texas is unfortunately an at will state. So at any moment, if they don't like how something is going or it's just not going great, they could just say, okay, you're done. Bye. Walk out the door. And that's the hardest part right now. So I'm going through job coaching. I have a job coach with me 5 days a week at my job that's helping me learn how to, like, work around certain things, like when the kids overstimulate me, or they're just having a really hard day and they're not sleeping, and they're fighting with each other. That gets me really frustrated because then I can't get my work done. So I tend to like want to scream or want to cry, but instead I've learned how to like go out and take a walk, take 10 deep breaths, get over how I'm feeling, and then go back to do my job, because that's what I'm meant to do, is get back to this community working with kiddos with special needs, and becoming a teacher. My goal one day is to become a special ed teacher.
Elizabeth, tell me about how the bullying evolved. Like, say, bullying has so many different forms, and I was bullied at school, and there are so many complicated ways to bully people. And I'm 47, and I got bullied and harassed like recently as well at work, and I quit. As an Asian female and as a journalist, I speak pretty good English, but still I get discriminated, especially in food industry that,
Yeah,
I don't have to talk and I just work.
absolutely.
And then people just discriminate me and then just try to behave probably the nastiest human behavior you can see. And then I
Absolutely.
quit for jobs because of I'm working in like Marvel movies and then or being a journalist. But then like when I go to different jobs, people treat me differently and I just couldn't stand it. Like, do you think that because of your special need, status that have you ever noticed since you were kid versus you are grown? How old are you now?
I'm 32 and I'll be 33 this December.
So in your early 30s compared to say when you were 7, maybe 10, 12, how did it evolve? Is it probably the same or is it getting a little bit more complicated and kind of
It's getting
nastier?
a little bit these days. It's getting a little bit more complicated. We're starting to see a lot more cyberbullying, where they're using fake profiles to bully on social media, whether it's Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, X, whether it's a video game website, whether they don't care. They find ways to slip in and bully people on line, and then they say, "Oh, I didn't do it," or "This website can't be traced to me, so I'll be fine." No, there's technology out there that we can trace your IEP at your address from the website. We could trace that and find out exactly what location, where you're at, who it is. We can find out a phone number. Like, bullies don't realize that they are trying to test the system, but there is a lot of technology that is tracing that. And thanks to that, today a lot of the online bullying is being detected quicker because of that technology. And people are now having to figure out another way to bully, whether it's, bullying on the bus, whether it's bullying via text message, whether it's, bullying, just in person. It's really getting complicated. And as a pre-K aide, I see it starting now. Starting now in pre-K, we have a lot of kids that pick on each other, whether it's, fighting over a toy, whether it's, fighting over the fact that, they want to share lunch and they're not allowed to, fighting me because they're not tired and they don't want to sleep, trying to kick me because they're having a meltdown. They may be autistic, but I'm not allowed to diagnose. All I can do is recommend. So, seeing it now starting in pre-K, my goal is to always get to that child's level. And what I do is I literally get to their level and I'm like, listen, I hear that you're mad. I hear you. I see you. I get it. But is this behavior okay to do? Would you do this with mom and dad at home? No. Okay, then why are you doing it in school? I don't know. Okay, well, think about it. And when you're ready to talk to me, you come and tell me a reason why. And then maybe you can go back to play or go back to PE. But until then, I'm going to sit you out for your 5 minutes or your 6 minutes, depending on how old you are, because you need to learn that this is not okay. And our school is a zero tolerance for bullying. So if we find out that it's happening, you're in the principal's office and, you're done. That's it. It's over. There's no, let me have one more chance. Let me have, a second chance. My principal is actually my old summer camp teacher. This is a funny story, but I didn't realize that he's now the principal of the Legacy Traditional School in Cibolo here in Texas. I went in to interview and didn't even realize that the last name was Turner. And so I had walked in, I'm like, Christopher Turner, the Mr. Turner from summer camp, from sport camp, my teacher? No way. So when I saw that it was him, I was like, oh my God, like, Lord help me. Like, he's very strict and I don't think I'll get this job and I'm really scared. And I went to like, hyper protective mode. And then once I started realizing, he is cool, he's laid back, he's changed, he's more funny now. Like, we were laughing, we were having a great time in the interview. So having to go through and see what these kids are going through nowadays, and to realize that my principal has really stepped up his A game and he's doing everything he can to protect us, the staff, and those kids means the world to me. And hopefully, through our eyes and through his, we can avert this bullying and make it stop on its tracks.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Is there any other adversity that you want to share with our audience that you
Um,
went through?
So really just, I want to just say quickly, through everything I've been through, whether you're just starting your journey with like, autism, seizures, being bullied, whatever you're going through, please know that you're not alone. Together we rise, together we can conquer. And that's why I started my organization. Today I run an organization called Inspirational Experiences. Again, you can find me at inspirationalexperiences.org or on Facebook at Inspirational Experiences if you type in your search bar. Um, I started this because I wanted to give back to families that have special needs, or either just starting their journey, or they've been on it for a while and they don't know what to do or where to go, and or resources where they are. I'm that person. I'm that lenient person that is like, you know what, you're welcomed here. And we just had our sense of Santa back in December, where we had Sensory Santa, we had sensory bins, crafting, games, food. It was just an overall great time for those families to come together. And if you're in the San Antonio area, March 23rd, St. Matthew's UMC Church in San Antonio from 11 to 2 will be hosting Sense of Easter Bunny. Come out and get your photos with the bunny, have crafts, sensory bins, food, vendors, resource vendors. It's going to be a great time for those families to come together and to network and to really get to know that they're not alone.
Tell me a little bit about the so we're gonna save a little bit about the tools for the second question, but I want to just ask a couple questions.
Yeah,
So you are a child, and then how
absolutely.
about other siblings? Do they have autism too, or you're the
No,
only one?
I'm the only one who had it, and it's a weird, diversity that we're still trying to figure out of how it happened. Whether it was a chromosomal change, it was a genetic change. Maybe I have an extra X or Y chromosome. We're still not sure, so we're still doing that research today to kind of figure out how I became the only one. But instead of figuring out that I'm the only one, I see it as a gift. I see it as a talent. I see it as something that God provided me for a reason, and that's why He put me here on this earth, is to give back to those who have special needs.
And then how is your parent
Absolutely.
treating you differently than other siblings?
So my mom is a little bit more strict with me. She, knows that I do crazy things sometimes. Like if I'm mad enough, I'll quit a job without telling her, and then I'll have a hard time paying my bills and things because I don't think it through. So now instead of doing things without thinking about it, I go to my mom and I said to her, "Hey, I'm really going through this. Who do I go through? How can I get the help? I don't want to give up, but this is getting to my breaking point." So having someone there that really understands me and loves me, and I know that no matter what happens, I could always go back home and she'll always take me under her wing again. So having my mom has been a huge impact on me. And then my husband, he's also autistic. Just found out at the age of 36 that he has autism. He had meltdowns from like when he's tired, when he's hungry, when he's overstimulated. So I kind of saw it in him, but I never knew. And now that we know, we finish each other's sentences and we read each other's minds. So it's been amazing.
Well, thank you very much for shedding a light to
Absolutely.
autism. And then again, um, I'm not really in touch with that world except the
Yeah,
one summer camp that I had. And then I feel like also not as a child, but as a parent, um,
absolutely.
sometimes it might be hard that parent are making fun of other parent or parent are
Yeah,
not getting along with other parent. And I feel that's another adversity as well. Um, I'm not sure, but do you have good relationship with your parents?
absolutely. To this day, I have a good relationship with my mother. She's very strict, like I said, but she's doing it out of love, and I know that. My dad and I didn't used to get along. When I lived at home, we were fighting a lot because he didn't understand my autism and he didn't want to learn and he wasn't open to it. So that made it very toxic for me to live at home. So finally at the age of 23, I had, moved out, got engaged, and I recently married my best friend back on 11/17 of 2021. And I am very happy and proud of, who we are, where we're going together. And, going back home nowadays, my dad is more open to understanding that, I may be different because my husband sheds a light on it. He's like, hey, Kate, don't say that. Or, hey, think before you say something. Or, hey, Tom, it's okay. She's just rewording what she's thinking. Or, you have to be open to these kind of changes because you may not understand the way that I'm thinking or I'm processing. It may not be normal for you, but for me, it's the way that I break something down. So that's always been a hard road for me, is me and my dad getting along. But I've been on a lot of news channels lately, from WOAI to Great Day SA to Fox 7 to just all these Austin news, all the way up to Corpus Christi. My story's getting out there. We're being told, and I couldn't be more prouder of that. And because of that, my dad is now my cheerer. He is my side cheer, where he'll just be like, "Go for it. You could do it. Like, I love you." Like, it's changed the way that he see me, and this is what makes my life different, is knowing that I had this diagnosis, but having to teach him in a different way to accept, and now he does. And he's my, like I said, he's my go cheer person. He's my sidekick. He's everything. If I text him and be like, "Hey, I'm having a hard time talking to Rob about something," or he's having a moment, can you help me? My dad is always the one that I could call at 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, and he's still going to answer his phone and be there for me. So yes, it's changed my life in a good way.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for shedding a light again for autism, which is the world that people, especially, are not maybe not just understanding, but from listening to you and then hearing it from the first hand of your struggle, prejudice, bullying,
Yeah.
and the assault that happened to you,
Yeah.
and the job, and everything that we say it inclusive world. We say it like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
supposed to love each other, or it is just so beyond imagination how narrow
Yeah.
our mental capacity is,
It
or
is.
tolerance of differences. Like myself, as Asian female, that
Yeah.
some people absolutely hate me because of I'm Asian.
Yeah.
uh, Even like during the COVID, for instance, like,
Yeah.
COVID, and somebody said you influenced the whole town. Like, how am I infected? I infected the whole town, and how am I infecting the whole town
Well,
because I'm Asian? It's just like very interesting that there are people who are accepting you as is, but there are people who would never accept you, like the bully that you said, give me a
yeah.
second chance, but he might have changed. But at the same time, you do have the choice to not accept. um
His forgiveness, but accept forgiveness for myself, so that way I can move
what
forward.
I mean, like, take a chance, you know what I mean? Like, why? Because there are 8 billions of us, like, why? You know what I mean? So,
Exactly. Exactly.
but I'm very
Exactly.
proud.
And
I'm very proud that you are recognizing your talent as speaker,
thank
and
you.
then be able to give a voice to this world of autism,
Thank
and
you.
the
Thank you.
people who are not able to explain
Yeah.
and understand. And I believe in open communication and direct communication and education. That inclusivity is way too far away from what schools or policies or system like try to sing in front of us, and it's so frustrating.
Absolutely. It's always frustrating, but you have to keep your heart open and your mind open to every day there may be that one person that will make you smile, or that will always have your back, or that will always protect you. You have to start to cling to those people, because those are the kind of people that you want to be around and that you feel safe around. So there's something called a safety net, and you have one of those. I have one. You have those people that you can go to and you feel safe. And then you have those ages where you're like, you know what, I can't trust that person, or it's a new stranger fight or it's something different and I just can't open that safety net, you have to live by that safety net because if you don't feel safe, then how are you going to go through life every day not knowing what to expect? So always cling to that safety net and know that you're never alone. And shout out to you for being, your Asian ethnicity. I have an au pair who is from Holland, from the Netherlands. She's also Asian, and she's happily married. She's got two beautiful kids and a wonderful husband and a beautiful dog, and they're happily married in the Netherlands. She just came up from my wedding a couple of years ago. I keep in contact with her every day, and I love her for what she is. Her enthusiasm, her love, her spunkiness, just everything about her. So no matter what you are, don't let that fear hit you. You're not the one who caused COVID. It's a virus that's still going around. My school is infected with it really badly right now, as well as strep throat and the stomach bug. So know that you're not the one. Know that, together we did this. The whole world did this because we didn't take the precautions that we should have. And don't feel like, you're the one who caused this because I believe that, there's some scientist out there that, is saying, well, we invented this through the flu. But if we invented this through the flu, then how is it so high risk that it is right now? And a lot of my kids that are asthmatic, they're going through, the seasonal allergies, they're having RSV shutdown. Their immune systems are so bad that they're going into respiratory failure. And it's hard for me to hear that. A lot of my kids are either in the children's hospital, they're in the ER fighting. It's really hard on me, especially because I'm also asthmatic. So not knowing what to expect every day with this COVID and this flu, I've been home for a few days and I've had a high fever and I've been breaking it and trying to kill my symptoms. It started as a respiratory cold and it got into the stomach portion of the GI upset and the stomach bug. So know that no matter where this came from, you're not the one who created it. Your minority and your ethnicity have nothing to do with it. And please love yourself every day because if you don't love yourself, then you can't go out there and be a journalist. And I know that you can do great things. So go out there and take names and kick butt and do great things every day.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that. Let's move on to the second question, which is my favorite
Sure.
part of this podcast. You said
Absolutely.
a lot of tools, but this is highlighting the unique tools that people who went through the adversities.
Yes,
The reason
absolutely.
why I like this part of the podcast the most is I'm a survivor of child sex abuse.
Yeah,
People don't understand how the PTSD completely
absolutely.
mess can mess up your life. And then
Absolutely.
people who never been through trauma would say, hey, go see a therapist and that's done. And then pressure you to see a therapist. And if I don't have a therapist, I'm a crazy person not
Yeah.
taking care of myself. That's not how it works.
Right. No,
But
absolutely not.
but what I'm saying is that through this podcast, I myself learned some of the unique techniques that people use to combat these adversities. So, Elizabeth, tell us what are the most useful tools that you use to overcome your adversity?
Yes, ma'am. So communication is number one. Finding a way to communicate when I'm feeling frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad. Finding that voice when I don't have that voice because I just want to scream. Being able to go to my husband and be like, I swear, just like I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna I'm gonna hit the wall. I'm gonna, punch the wall. I'm gonna. He's like, no, hey, step back, take 10 deep breaths. Let's think through what's going on right now and let's dissect it and let's work through what you're going through because in the end we can find a resolution. So communication number 1 is my biggest thing. 2 is figuring out what way do the kids with special needs communicate. Do they have an iPad with communication devices? Do they have flashcards in a little binder that they hang around their neck? Do they have little worksheets that they have to write out what they're feeling? Figure out what works for them and what they have, because if you don't understand the way that they communicate, you're never going to be able to understand what they're going through. So please don't see it as, oh, well, they have no voice, but they use this flashcard thing that's around their neck. They could still point to what they're feeling and still show you and ask for a response. The iPad does the same thing. It'll just use a weird voice and say, I want food or I want, whatever it may be. Work with those adversities, figure out what tools work with them. Because for me, it's been communication, my journal, of course, having my husband on speed dial all the time, talking to my pediatrician, making sure that, I'm on the right medications. I am on a couple that help me sleep at night, as well as one that helps me in the morning with my anxiety. And I don't oversee that. I don't see that as a setback because I'm on medication. I see it as a go forward because it's helping my brain SSRI, which is that inhibitor for the brain that makes your happy responses, and you're not feeling overwhelmed. It really works for me. So finding those tools that works for you is your number one go to, and sticking with it.
Thank you very much for sharing your tools. It's very
Mhm.
helpful to know the direct communication. And I like how you and your husband talk it out and then identifying not only what to do, but the first hand of instead of screaming, hey, I'm frustrated. I want to scream. What should I do? Hey, I am angry.
Yes.
I want to break things. What should I do?
Yep.
Most of the people cannot verbalize but take an action instead of communicating.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's really hard, and I'm sure it took you for a long time to get
It
to
did.
the
Absolutely.
point.
I mean, my husband today still has his ways where if he's hungry or he's tired, he's gonna scream. He's gonna have a meltdown because he has not eaten all day at work because he works for a company called U-Haul. He's nonstop, making contracts, cleaning trucks, dispatching trucks, bringing trucks back in from dispatch. Like, it's a lot for him. And, figuring out that this job may not be the best fit overall. He's been there almost 2 years and it may not be the best fit, and that's okay. And that's what I'm starting to realize right now is finding him a different job is probably the better benefit. So he just applied for an IT position at my school where he'll be working with computers and printers and things like that, which he loves to do, which is breaking things apart and rebuilding. So I hope through this change to see that my husband is less frustrated, less, meltdown like, kind of more able to communicate. So finding that stitch and sticking with it is the most important thing.
This conversation has been very, very meaningful to me, not only about autism, but
Yes,
the communication and then, how we can combat inclusivity and understanding,
absolutely.
overcoming the biases, and then, how we can pretty much like brace each other, even knowing the difference, which is the education and which is the conversation that such as this
Absolutely.
that we are doing. So thank you so much for shedding a light.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sherry, for having me. I really appreciate it. And one of the hardest things I want to quickly bring up is law enforcement interaction. If you have a child with autism, please go online on Amazon. There is those I have a child with autism on board stickers. Please place them on all of your windows on your vehicle. That way, if there's an accident where it's a rollover, there's an accident where the child jumps out of the car and runs off, they can know that that child may not verbalize, but then they're alerted to how to work with that child ahead of time. Also, a new cool thing, which is really cool, the driver's license nowadays. I don't know if you guys all know, but there is a disability enrollment where you can alert and put on the driver's license if they are 18 and they are driving with Asperger's or any form of disability. You can put on their driver's license that my child has autism or has a seizure disability or has whatever it may be. And as they're pulling that car over or they're stopping to help, it's gonna flash at the top of the police officer's screen, like literally flash, 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 and it won't stop until he indicates yes or no that he's accepting that this person may have a disability. So please use the tools that make it easier to dissect communication during traffic stops and with and law enforcement education, because that's one of the hardest things I'm seeing today is law enforcement is not understanding us and is using, harmful, tasing and, beating and things like that to, like, not understand the child, but, just to have their abusive mentorship that some cops have come to reality. And that's not okay. And we need to change that. So please, if you're driving and you have special needs, go to your DMV, your local BMV if you're in Ohio. Check out the disability form that can be added to your license. And also, please, please use those window stickers. It will save your life. I promise you that.
That is so incredible to know from the first hand about the law enforcement because every incident that police encounters for the law enforcement perspective,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
definitely have so many potentials, and then obviously the police has to be defensive of themselves and
Yeah.
then think about every possibilities, but having that sticker,
Yeah.
having that identification of why, and
Yes.
that can maybe speed up the process of
Communication.
de-escalating de-escalating
Absolutely.
the situation.
Yes, that too. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's really important, and thank you so much for letting
Thank you
us
so
know.
much for Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting me spread the awareness. And again, guys, my name is Kate Cheney. I'm the founder and owner of Inspirational Experiences. You can find me at inspirationalexperiences.org or on Facebook at Inspirational Experiences.
Now let's dive into the last question, which is a gift that came from it. So, what would you say the gift that came from your adversity?
The gift that came from Reversi is speaking, being able to go out there and do special needs events. I own a photo booth company, so we do like weddings and bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and quinces. But I start to realize that those events are too loud for me and too much. So we started attending the special needs proms. They had one down in Corpus Christi recently, near Galveston. It was called the Mardi Gras Ball for special needs, and they do it every year. And it's through a place called Moody Gardens, Hope Therapy. And I've been with them for 2 years, going on three now. And I just love them. And without them, I don't think I would have found my voice to speak. And every year, I get to go up there and tell my story and, give out t-shirts and give out water bottles and just be able to share, because those people don't understand that they're either A, just starting their journey and they don't know where to go, or B, they've been on for a while and they're stuck. And they need that person that can help them find those resources, that can be that ear to listen to, which I'll always be. For no matter who needs me, I'm always going to be there. So having that gift to talk is my talent this year that I found through adversity.
Well, thank you so much again. Now, before you go, can you please tell very personal advice to maybe a child or maybe somebody young who might be going through dealing with autism, school system, and also maybe parent that might
Yeah,
be struggling with
absolutely.
having kids with autism? Do you have any last advice for them?
Absolutely. So, guys, if you're just starting your journey or you've been on it for a while and you're stuck, there is special needs advocates today. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them through searching special needs advocates on Google in your town and your state. If you're having a hard time at the school and your child is not, up to where they need to be with their education level or their grades, please get a special needs advocate and take them with you to all the IEP meetings, because without it, they're going to try to take advantage of you. They're going to play the system. They're going to say, oh, well, if you're not here, we're going to hold them back, or we're going to take them more into special needs courses and pull them out of, a regular inclusive classroom if they're trying to do the gap where they're doing half day and half day. They're going to try to pull them and put them back into that full sped class. So please don't go to the IEP meetings by yourself. Have a special needs advocate with you that can speak for you if you can't speak and you're feeling alone or isolated. They're going to be the ones that stand for you and advocate. So please, please, please use a special needs advocate and make your child's difference today.
I've heard of that, and thank you so much for
Absolutely.
s- seriously like giving tangible
Absolutely.
advice, especially about the advocate. And then I've heard that makes a huge difference.
It does.
And in 2024, um, we are still fighting for this inclusivity,
Yes,
not
ma'am.
only the special need, but the skin color, immigration status,
Yeah.
whatever. But at the end of the day, even if you can't speak English well,
Yeah.
like I couldn't speak English, there is advocate and there is some tools, there is some
And
technology
there's
that
also classes that elementary schools now offer. It's the ESL, English Second Language classes. So they help them learn the language if they're having struggles with that as well.
yes. And then also one thing I want to give away, and then basically just to um really trying to shed a light about the assault that you shared with us,
Yeah.
is that in my book, A Gift from Adversity, um, I say it loud and clear to the perpetrator, um, that a lot of people will say, forgive him, forgive her. But my philosophy is forgive yourself to not forgive.
Yes, ma'am, exactly, and that's what I've learned throughout my whole fight is forgive yourself, but not to forgive them because that trauma is always within us.
Yeah, so forgive yourself to not forgive means even the system is not giving justification that you want it
Amen.
in
Yeah.
your heart, that you can not forgive and hold on to it and forgive yourself for not for doing that. And that has been one of the core motto for me, and then some of the things that nobody need to understand. And
Absolutely.
it is not something that you need to tell me what to do because you didn't get raped by father. And then I never understand how you went through what you went through, but
Yes.
as a collaborative effort, there
Yes,
is a
ma'am.
space for you to um, really forgive yourself, to not forgive whoever did what they did, and then it is absolutely okay. And that's really my message to you and it out there,
Yes.
that you don't
Means a
need
lot.
grand jury, and you don't need any you
Yeah.
know court system telling you who did what you already know what happened, and then you already know who was wrong and who was
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, so really thank you for sharing everything that you said today, and it was really meaningful conversation to me.
Thank you for having me, Juri. It really means a lot to me, and I hope that we can spread more awareness together and let the community know that no matter what they're going through, they're never alone.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And then have a wonderful night. And then thank you to our audience. I have more wonderful guests on queue all the way till June. I'm very grateful. This is over 130 episodes. You're the 131. And then I just booked all the way till episode 150. So can't wait to
That's amazing. Can't
keep
wait
our
to see them.
conversation.
Keep going, Juri. Keep going. Never give up.
Thank you. Before you go, I have a live audience. It says, I hate when people, usually family, try to bully me into forgiving people who did me wrong. So, thank you for the live comments. Do you have any reply for him?
So don't let your family guilt you into, having to say sorry for something that possibly you didn't do or, that you were put into and it wasn't your fault. Just know that you could tune that out. And, if they're not accepting, then you need to say something. If you're a minor and you're having that hard time, please, there's school therapists, there's psychologists, there's everyone at the school to help you. And if your family won't, they will. And please know if you're not safe, get into that safe situation as soon as possible.
Add on to that, in my book, I say about parenting is the most important job in the whole world, yet they don't have any prerequisite. Like being a doctor, you have to go to school and then pass the bar license and then everything, and then be an attorney as well in any professions. However, parent becoming a parent, there's no certification.
Yeah.
So that being said, there are many people who just become parent because they just conceive the kids. So I am telling in my book loud and clear that if they don't respect you, you don't have to respect them because they're parent. And if they're nonsense, and because they just became parents, so don't give in to that.
Yeah, no, keep fighting for what you need. And if that starts with, speaking to me, you can reach me at inspirationalexperiences.org on my website or on Facebook at Inspirational Experiences. Just type it in the search bar. And you can also reach us at 830-402-6684. I keep that work line on my phone so it rings through every day. So no matter what you're going through, and if you don't feel safe and you can't speak to somebody, please call me and I will be the advocate for that.
And then one more question for a live audience, which is exciting. Any tips on how to deal with overwhelming anxiety?
So overwhelming anxiety, the thing that I found really easily and really quickly is the four square. So you're going to start with taking that deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing that out. And then repeating, you're going to take that 4 in. You're going to hold. And that should start to bring you back to normalization. It should help you to ground that behavior, that fear, that anxiety that you're having. That four square is my best friend, and it helps with every situation.
I've seen triangle and I've seen square. So square is like is a hold breathe in and then hold
Hold and then out, in, hold, out. Yes.
out. So that's one of the breathing technique. And then
And there's the triangle. That's the 3, 3, 2, 3. So yeah, there's multiple different.
he said thank you. Just because someone is your parent or family doesn't mean you should have to tolerate their abuse or disrespect.
Yes, and please, if you're being abused and you are being abused today, and maybe they did something tonight, please, please, please reach out, because if you need authorities, you need CPS, social work, we will be the advocates for you, and you don't have to worry about putting your name in it, because me and Juri will be that for you. So please let one of us know, so that way we can help, because we never want to see it end in tragedy.
Well, thank you again. And then yeah, it's very heartbreaking again, but we just keep moving forward. In my heart goes out to you.
Thank you. My heart goes out to all those two that are going through whatever they may go through, and know that they're not alone.
Well, thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Thanks, Juri.